Hello, this is Sid and Millie Chats. I'm Sid,
I'm Millie.
and we invite you to be a fly on our wall. We wanted to wish everybody a happy holiday season. I was traveling recently, so I missed the games that Manchester United played against Bournemouth and Wolves. Give me a brief overview, Millie. What went wrong? How did we lose both these last two games?
Yeah, so, well, first of all, like you said, just to reiterate, happy holidays and Merry Christmas to everybody out there. And yeah, so Man United lost to both Wolves and Bournemouth while you were out of town. 3-0 to Bournemouth at Old Trafford, and
Ooh,
then 2-0 loss to Wolves on the road. Um, yeah, I
tough
mean,
week.
yeah, very, very tough week as a United fan. Obviously, this is something that Ruben kind of promised when he first came in. He said that there was going to be suffering along the way with the process. So I think the biggest suffering right now is honestly just watching the games right now. It's really tough to watch. Also, for me personally, it's been pretty frustrating with the continued absence of Marcus Rashford.
Right.
You're we're watching a team that's failing to create any chances, failing to put shots on target, failing to be dangerous in front of goal. And one of our best attacking players is um, at home watching the games on his TV like we are. So it's a really frustrating period for United. The team looks disjointed. The style of football that we saw in the first couple of games with Ruben somehow has vanished.
And we've lost it.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of crazy to see. I mean, we knew that there was going to be a little bit of that new manager bump. So essentially, when the new manager comes in, the players are excited. They're trying to prove themselves and all of those things. So we see like kind of like a spike in performance, we
Mm,
say. And so I guess though the wonder is now that we've had that and that time period is gone,
right.
what does this look like? Because Bournemouth and Wolves, realistically, they're not teams even in a rebuilding process that should be beating Manchester United comfortably.
Right. With no goals from United.
No goals, like minimal shots. Obviously, Bruno got a red card against Wolves,
Right.
so there were a lot more like negatives probably from these games than positives
Mm,
because we didn't get to see the style of play. There wasn't good build up from the back. You look online, on Twitter, and it's like, oh, the percentage we miss these big chances. If you watched these games of football, you know that the statistics are not telling the correct story. But
okay.
in both games, regardless if Man United quote unquote created big opportunities, we were getting outplayed by both of these teams.
Mm,
Outplayed, outworked off the ball, outworked in second balls, outworked in transitions, outworked on set
sheesh.
pieces. Yeah, so it's it's more, first of all, obviously the issues run deeper than whatever Ruben thinks is going on with Marcus
Mm-hmm.
Rashford. I think there are bigger priorities right now. Maybe that should be probably be focused on. We're still giving up goals on set pieces. Manchester United has given up the most goals on corner kicks in the Premier League this year.
Wow.
That was something after our first game after the first game with Ruben. The corner kicks were brought up and it was an issue that we talked on and we were confident that it was something that was going to be sorted out pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are, what, 8 games later, still
Right.
still talking about set pieces and how we can't defend them.
Yeah. It's disappointing to see.
Yeah, it's super disappointing. And yeah, I just feel like as far as like the style of play as well, it's just not clear what we're trying to create. I mean, multiple times in these games we've got, again, Diego Dallo, good defender. If Diego Dallo is taking all of our shots in a half, these do not count as actual attacks. I'm sorry. We're having our right footed player who's playing out of position at left wing back. And our only attacking opportunities of the half come from Dallo coming inside, closing the space down, and shooting on his right
Oh
foot.
my god.
Dallo. So it's just like, again, great defensive player. We're not setting him up for success playing
Right.
him on the left wing. He's not left footed. Yes, we might be missing personnel right now, but it's very obvious that Maserati would most likely be a better choice to play on the left because Maserati can do anything. But it speaks volumes to our failure to create attacking opportunities and dangerous attacking um, chances when like Dallo is taking our shots.
Right.
And that obviously it's not what his role is. Like, yes, defenders can provide assists and goals occasionally, but this is two back-to-back games where Manchester United has lost, where Dallo has been our most dangerous attacking player, has taken the most shots.
Wow. Has Ahmad been playing? Has Garnacho been playing? Who's been playing up top?
Yeah,
Hoyland?
we've been swapping Hoyland. So I believe one of these games, Bournemouth, maybe Xerxes started, and then this game against Wolves, Hoyland started. Ahmad's been starting, but we're missing something,
Hmm.
right? Like there's something missing in the attack. These last two games haven't been the best games for probably anybody on the team, anybody on the squad. Probably there wouldn't be any like very positive things to highlight at all.
Okay.
Unfortunately, and that does like include like, I mean, we love Ahmad here. We know that. We know that his future is extremely bright, but like again, attacking opportunities, we're just not creating a lot. And so you wonder what it is where we don't have that game changer at the moment.
Right.
And and yeah, I just again I'm not sure what the solution is, but I think this rhetoric that you're already seeing, it's similar to what we saw with Ten Hag towards the end.
Yeah.
Oh, Ten Hag coached a win, but we still lost the game, or we missed these big chances and we still lost the game. Like,
Right.
and people were constantly saying, "Oh, like it's not on the manager, it's not on the manager."
Until it is.
Right, until it is, because that's what it comes down to. And we've already seen reports come out of from the ownership that they don't have an endless supply of money, so
Right.
they're not going to be spending. They spent 14 million just to fire Ten Hag. They spent 10 million to bring in some other guys. They spent money to break Ruben's contract at Sporting so that he could come to United.
Oh
So
my
it's not realistic to think that Ruben's going to get an endless wallet to build
God.
his
Right.
specialized team. He
It's
can't
just
do it.
not. Yeah.
He might get maybe one, two, three players, but for the most part, he's going to have to work with the group that he's got. Um, and that's just the reality of the situation. The club have spent a lot of money on the players that they bought and on the players that they brought in over this past summer when they took recruitment out of Eric Ten Hag's hands.
Mm-hmm.
And so some of these guys are here on long contracts. So it's unrealistic to think that we're just going to be able to swap out players and offload players. Do we see um, top clubs like Barcelona, Madrid, do we typically see them buying players from teams in the lower half of the division? No. It's that's not what
I'm
they
like, I
do.
don't think so.
Yeah,
I was
yeah, no.
like,
Like literally you buy players that are high performers. So
right.
you're going to buy players who are performing well, their clubs are doing well, they have momentum and energy.
Right.
Those are the players that are going to be in high demand in the transfer market, not players that are underperforming and are in 16th place, right? So
Yeah.
to think that in the transfer market we're going to magically be able to offload a bunch of players who are under heavy contracts to
Yeah.
other top teams whilst we're in the bottom half of the table, it's massively unrealistic
Okay. Yeah.
to think that that's going to happen. Yes, the name of Manchester United speaks volumes, but we're talking about the players here, right? Because that's what these fans, so quote unquote fans, are calling for. Oh, the
Right.
players, we need new players, we need more players. Well, what does that look like, right? We're seeing right now what's happening with City. They're under investigation under their charges, 120 charges, right, for
Yikes.
breaches in the financial fair play laws. So
Mm-hmm.
we know for a fact that United can't copy that sort of blueprint. We're not going to be able to just go fabricate sales, fabricate money that's coming in to the club. United isn't going to be able to do that. That's why City's in
Fraud.
trouble. Yeah, basically,
Yeah.
literally financial fraud. They
Yeah.
just cook their books to make it seem
Right.
like, anyway, not to get into
Yeah.
that. But my point with bringing that up is that United realistically cannot go out and buy 11 players. We
Right.
know that. So thinking that we're going to, it's not realistic.
Not at
At
all.
the end of the day, we've seen it with other managers who have come in. Yes, you can say certain players and stuff were built for a certain system, and that's allowed other managers to be successful when they come in. Sure, some of the time we can chalk it up to that. But at the end of the day, managers come in, they look at the players they've got, and you need a manager that's going to extract the best out of the players they have.
So true.
Because in reality, he's not going to get 11 players. He won't. It's not real.
No.
And if you think that you're going to get 3 whole years at a club without any trophies, that's also not realistic.
Right. We saw Eric Ten Hag get fired after winning many trophies.
2 years, 2 trophies,
Yeah,
and it still wasn't enough. No, but for the time he was there, that's a lot of trophies.
Yeah.
That's 2 for 2 at the
That's
time he was
true.
there, and they didn't let him finish his 3rd season, which would have been this season. So we don't know.
Right.
So needless to say, like, the big complaint with Eric Ten Hag was, okay, we weren't playing a good style of football, we were not finishing our opportunities, and the hope was that there would be an adjustment period, whatever. We would play a more recognizable brand of football and be
Right.
able to, like,
Capitalize
achieve
and-
more
yeah.
and build. But again, I'm not trying to, like, put up a huge defense for Eric, but
No,
I guess
I know
I'm
that.
saying, I'm using it as almost like a defense for Ruben. Like, when Eric first came in, everyone was very excited.
Mhm.
We were so excited when we won that first
Honeymoon.
trophy. Yeah, maybe exactly the honeymoon craze, right? But then, like, the questions started being asked the longer the process went on. Okay, when will we start seeing improvement? When will we start seeing improvement? When will, and then you're asking, and then 3 years
Nothing's
later,
changing. Yeah.
exactly. And so again, with this new era that we're in with Ruben, with this new set of coaches, so you've already said it's going to be difficult. We get that. It's been difficult for every manager that's come in.
Right.
When can we start to see some things start to propagate, right?
Right.
We know you're not going to get 11 new players. It's a fact. It will never happen in this day and age. So with maybe 2 additions in January, what can you do with the group? Can you get them into the top half? Can we win a
Right.
domestic trophy? Can we compete for the European League title? Those are serious questions.
100%.
Because at the end of the day, on paper, the Man United team is a good enough team. They beat Manchester City in the FA Cup final
Right.
last year. They beat Liverpool on the way up there to that final. They beat in top teams, right? So we know that the group of players is capable of competing at that level with the top teams.
Yeah.
The issue is obviously the consistency. How do you get the group of players to perform consistently?
Right.
So what does that look like? Is that transferring players out, swapping, like, rotating the squad so that people are always fresh? That's what we thought Ruben was doing in the beginning, right? Rotating, keeping this team fresh so that everybody had fresh energy and all that stuff. But yeah, I think the big question is going to be, when can we start getting some of these tangibles? Because at the end of the day, United fans aren't going to be that patient.
No, they are not patient, if that's anything we've learned about the previous coaching staffs post Sir Alex Ferguson.
Exactly, yeah. Because this is now our, 7th manager. So
In how many years?
it's been, just about a decade now.
Okay, that's a lot of managers in that
yeah.
short of a period, I feel like.
Yeah, it definitely has been. So it's a obviously massive shoes to fill, but the time that comes along with this job, it won't be endless. Like, yes, we can say he took over too late in this season to have made a huge difference. So we can try to write off this season. But at the end of the day, if Man United finishes in the bottom half of the table, and if we're knocked out of all trophies and all competitions, we can't point the finger at Eric Ten Hag anymore.
Nope.
Right? Like, this new leadership is gonna be the reflective of that, and they'll be responsible for that. And so again, like, are we going to get into the pattern that Eric was in, where he's constantly saying, we're building, we need time, we're building, we
Right.
need time,
How
we need.
much time?
That's the question.
The people need an ETA.
Yeah, just a slight ETA. When can we expect our team to defend a corner kick properly?
Right.
When can we expect to not feel anxiety when we give up a corner kick?
Mm-hmm.
When can we expect, when it's our goal kick, I don't start sweating immediately thinking we're about to give up a goal?
Right.
So those are small tangibles. Those are things that can be fixed in our next game. So like that, if Ruben wants to start gaining the trust of the fans and like really get back to that like high everyone was feeling when he first was hired, those would be some small tangibles that will regain some faith. Let's defend a set piece properly. Just one. Let's clear a corner kick. Let's maybe, if they're putting men on our goalkeeper, let's maybe protect our goalkeeper with one of our men.
Right.
You know, let's just do some obvious common sense defending and see if we can defend a set piece. And maybe once the fans see that we can defend a set piece, we'll feel a little bit more confident that our coaches know what's going on.
Yep.
Right? Like, it's hard not to start pointing a finger immediately at the staff when, okay, you've blacklisted one of our best all-time goal scorers.
Right.
He's not even making the roster, and we've got 0 goals against bottom half teams like ourselves. So our attackers don't have it figured out fully. Hoyland's not scoring anymore.
Right.
Ahmad's gone quiet the last 2 games. Like, so was Rashford the problem?
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know exactly how big of an issue that really is within Ruben's thing. Again, we're sticking to our guns, which is fine. But if we're going to stick to the guns, let's defend a corner kick.
Yeah.
Let's put some shots on target other than Dalot shooting.
Dalot shooting is crazy.
Great defender. Dalot can defend. He can defend his life.
Yeah.
My goodness. But Dalot is not our shooter. He is not who we need taking shots.
No.
So until we start to see some of these tangibles, let's create real attacks. Let's put Hoyland in opportunities to score. Let's put Ahmad in opportunities to thrive and like attack more. Once we start seeing some tangibles, we'll be behind it. But like I said in the beginning, we cannot pretend like the manager doesn't bear responsibility in this.
100%.
It isn't all on the players. The manager is also responsible. He took responsibility for the Bournemouth loss. That's at Old Trafford. You don't lose 3-0 to a bottom half of the table team at our home table.
Yeah.
Even in a rebuild, you don't do it. Because guess what? This was one of the results that led to Eric Ten Hag sacking. We lost to them 3-0 at the start of the season. So Bournemouth, no disrespect to the club, has done the double 3-0 over Manchester United this season.
Sheesh.
That just, it doesn't even sound right.
No.
Coming out of my mouth. You know what I'm saying? So even in a rebuild, there are just certain teams we shouldn't be losing to.
Yeah.
Yes, the Premier League is competitive. Yes, the Premier League is the most difficult league in the world. But we're Manchester United. That's the be all end all of the Premier League. So should we be giving up this many goals off corners, direct off of corners? Give me a break, guys. And our coaches haven't said, hey, guys, if they put someone on Onana, make sure someone's there so that he can't touch Onana. Protect our keeper. That's coaching, right? Like, that's not just on the players to figure out. Guys, we've seen the set piece thing. We've seen what they're doing now. They're putting guys on goalkeepers.
Yep.
And our plan was just to leave Onana by himself. You can say, oh, he should be stronger. Oh, he should punch it. Why don't we help our teammate, guys? We're all defending the box.
Instead of blaming it on him.
Exactly. Why does that even matter whose fault it is?
Yeah.
If we get scored on, it's everybody's fault.
It's a team.
Yep. So 5 goals against, 0 goals for, minimal goals on target, shots on target, I mean, and our best attacking players at home. So
looking pretty grim.
The last 2 games have been difficult to watch.
Yeah.
But as I say that, our next 2 games are Newcastle, Arsenal, and Liverpool. Those are our next games. After we're coming off of losses to Bournemouth and Wolves.
Wow.
Now we're getting into the real teams of the Premier League.
Are we gonna see the the pattern, but on the opposite end of it, United's gonna come out with a fire lit under
Oh,
them for these bigger games.
now that's an interesting concept. I mean, I guess we'll see. I guess we'll just have to see. Maybe they will feel a little less pressure playing against bigger teams because maybe we'll feel like the underdog
Right,
United is the since United is the lower half of the table team in those games.
right.
We'll be playing against technically the
Better
bigger, right.
teams.
So hopefully United can at least show up in shock in one of those games.
Yeah,
That would be awesome.
that would be
Um,
nice little change of pace.
yeah,
Hopefully.
hopefully. So yeah, so I guess it is still very early in this process. We talk about the growing pains. We talk about like the coaching staff and Ruben needing time.
Hmm.
Um, and that's fine. Like I'm not calling for anything dramatic, but what I am saying is the honeymoon phase is over.
Yeah.
We can agree on that.
Yep. We need
The
to see the results now.
Yeah, the new coach bump is done. What are let's see some tangibles now.
Yeah.
Let's see some clear changes in the style of play, in the way that we move the ball, in the way that we defend. Those are things that can tangibly improve.
100%.
We know that. So those are things that that I would like to see. We are going to stick with the three back system. I'm fine with that, but that doesn't mean we can't. That doesn't mean that we've been playing perfect football in the system.
Right.
And yes, it will take time for the players to figure out, but we've got to figure out a way where we can win even when we're not playing pretty football. And right now, like the ideas just really aren't there. I mean, again, two sides. Wolves are in the relegation zone. Well,
Ooh.
they were in the relegation zone until they beat us. But a relegation team was before Bruno's red. Now Bruno's red card happened at the start of the second half.
Oh, wow. So pretty early in the
Pretty
game.
early in the second half, but up until that point in the game, United hadn't had dangerous for whole first half of the game. Possession was probably in Wolves' favor.
Wow.
They were dominating. They had the better opportunities, and all of our shots had come from Dallo. So it's not a situation like it was an even game. We were dominating. We were
Right.
playing good football, and then we got an unlucky card that turned the tide of the game. That's not what happened. We were playing poor, and because we were playing so poor, people were doing things they shouldn't have been doing,
Right.
and it led to the red card, which led to losing the game. But it was already trending that way from the first half. At the end of the first half, I was like, wow, this is probably going to be a 1-0 loss.
Wow.
It was giving off that energy. We hadn't created good chances. We didn't control the ball. We were giving the ball away very cheaply.
Yeah.
Punting long balls down the field to nowhere.
Oh
I mean, we didn't
gosh.
set up Hoyland, Ahmad. We didn't set those guys up for success. So yeah. There are things that need to be
Yeah,
improved.
sounds like there's some room for improvement at every level.
Yeah, definitely things to improve. And yeah, it's pretty simple to say as that. Like,
Yeah.
we can ask for as much time, or the coaching staff can ask for as much time as they want, but at the end of the day, the owners, the fans, it's a results-based
Yeah.
business at the end of the day.
Right.
So
An expensive sport,
yeah,
expensive league.
yeah.
There's like, yeah.
And this was an expensive hire, an expensive mid-season. And before they fired Ten Hag, you probably remember me talking about this. Never a fan of changing managers mid-season.
Yeah, I know.
But we'll see if the gamble pays off. I mean, at this point, with where United are, and with the next 3 games, like, the real hope is we can just get back into the top of the table.
Yeah.
Top half of the table. When we first were talking about this appointment, we were saying, wow, maybe we'll finish top 4. I think that's out of reach now.
Yeah. Because we're in what place?
I think 14th.
Yeah.
Can pull it up. Yeah, I believe we're 14th in the Prem right now. Yeah, 14th in the Premier League.
So it would be a reach.
And the other thing that I wanted to say, I don't
Yeah.
even know if I if I like favorited it or whatever, but
Okay.
we have given up, I believe it was like 18 goals.
18.
Yeah, I believe that's what it was since the new owner or new manager has taken over.
Sheesh.
So yeah, so there are some issues. There are some things that need some work. Um, and yeah, let's hope that things can change positively and things
Yes.
can look up. We're not saying, we're not calling for the sacking of anybody.
No.
We're not calling for the sacking of any of our players either.
First and foremost, we're always going to hope for a positive future.
Yeah, a positive future and positive results. I mean, that's
Yeah.
really all we want to see as fans, right? Like we would love to sit in here and just, be celebrating wins.
Right, of
All of our
course.
videos would be nice and breezy if that was the case.
Yeah,
But,
they would.
there are going to be hardships in this rebuilding process. And I think, maybe, we just have to hunker down a little bit. But again, like I think it would make me feel a little bit better if at least where we're utilizing all of our available options. And I think for me, that just means putting Rashford at least on the bench.
Yes.
I just think that this saga has gone on for long enough. And I think any manager who thinks doing something like this doesn't impact the rest of the team, it's silly.
Yeah, that is so silly.
Yeah.
And also, if you're going to leave him off the team for this long, we need an explanation.
An explanation, maybe
what is happening.
Maybe some goals.
Right.
I mean, maybe like you don't. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm sorry. You cannot be leaving. Level. Yeah, that's true. No, on a personal level, at the very least, give us some more detail.
What is happening
about what's happening. But from this outside, it's also just like we're not even putting shots on target.
Right.
And we've got one of our best attackers at home on his couch.
It's sad.
And actually, I shouldn't even say on his couch because Rashford's been training and freaking balling and doing all the normal stuff that he does because he's a top professional, which is what they're trying to slander my guy about. And honestly, I don't know how law works like in the UK and stuff, but I swear Rashford should have a case for like slander or defamation against some of these news people who report against him and some of these trolls online. Surely he has a case against them. There have been just far too much harassment anytime he does anything for this to be like normal.
It's ridiculous.
So it's just like kind of disappointing seeing that like we don't have like a manager. Oh, this is something that just dawned on me that I just remembered. Let me show you this. Let me show you this and I'll get your reaction.
Okay.
Blind. What comes to your mind when you see something like this? This is right after right after Bruno Fernandes got his red card. So here is our captain of our club walking off the field.
Yeah.
Dalot comes over to comfort.
Cute.
Let's see what our manager does.
Just ignores him completely.
Our manager ignores our captain completely as he walks off the field. Doesn't even look in Bruno's direction.
Supportive. Love a manager who cares about his players.
Yeah. So when you see that sort of treatment of our captain, do we think that that's going to bode well with the play? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, I understand you want to institute your system. You want to be my way or the highway. But there's also like a certain connectedness that you need to have with your players if you want them to go and run nonstop for you.
You can't just be a dictator.
Yeah. So yeah, that was also really disappointing to see like Bruno's treatment, all the dark times he's helped us through. And I'm not saying that like, everything should be rested on like the history and things players have done in the past, but that is our attacking outlet.
And that's the captain of the team.
So
if anybody would have a relationship with the manager, especially being Portuguese as well.
I know.
Like,
yeah. So I don't know. I didn't like that. I thought the least you could do is tap Bruno on the back and say, "Hey, next one.
Yeah.
Move on," or head up or something. Bruno's walking off the field with his head held and you've got nothing to say to your captain.
Turned your back to him.
So yeah. So I don't know. I just little frustrated with the way things are going. Don't want to point any fingers, but I
Yeah, these
just,
are definitely things though to kind of just like clock and keep an eye on
yes,
though,
yes.
and kind of really look at the manager objectively,
Ex-
because I
Thank you
think
for saying that.
that is probably part of the issue with like the honeymoon period and
Yep,
getting rid of Ten Hag and like
yep.
all the things. People aren't being objective.
100%. The objectivity is so important. Like, he will not be without flaw.
Yeah.
This process will not be perfect. The players play a part in that too. But we've already known this about some of our squad. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we've known that we've had issues in the team. We know that we've
Yeah.
tried to rebuild those positions. But that's why guys like Ugarte and Mazraoui and De Ligt were brought into the team. And all three of them have been fantastic signings. So
Mm-hmm.
we also can't act like Ten Hag didn't know what he was
Right.
doing. He recruited some fantastic players for us.
100%.
And if you want to even break it down deeper, you could say that he wasn't even involved in the recruitment. He just signed off on those agreements, right? Because that was the
Mm-hmm.
thing with hiring all these other backroom people. It took the recruitment out of the manager's hands.
Oh,
So that was the
okay.
whole thing. So they found the players, did all the negotiating, and then presented the player to the manager. The manager said yes or no. Ten
Okay.
Hag said yes. Mazraoui, De Ligt, and
Ugarte.
Ugarte have been fantastic.
They have.
So it'd be stupid to say that Ten Hag isn't responsible for those guys. Think about it. He cultivated Mainu from the youth team.
Yes.
Helped cultivate Garnacho, goal of the season last
Mm-hmm.
year. Garnacho is clearly a little bit lost in this new system. Very clearly, but Garnacho was thriving under Ten Hag, right?
Right.
So we also have to look at this and also see, like, now certain players are trying to learn a new system. Like, there are pros and cons that come with all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So like you said, we have to look at the manager objectively as well, and also realize, like, look, if the system isn't working with 8, 9 of the players we have, maybe, yes, we can stick to your principles, but what pieces of the puzzle are you going to fix first?
Right.
Because you can't replace all 11.
No. And you can't just like coach the team as if they already are how you expect them to be.
Yeah.
You have to coach them as they are now,
Yeah.
and to turn them into what you want them to be.
Exactly. And like, I refuse to believe like the principles of the sport of football are not that complicated.
Mm-hmm.
You know how to play the sport. You can play in multiple formations, in multiple positions. These lads know how to play the game.
Yeah, of course.
The 3-back system, Ruben didn't invent this.
No.
So for him to make it seem like the team has no clue what's going on, it's just like, that's not true.
It's a poor reflection on him.
Right. You don't blame the student for failing the class. You blame the teacher for not being a good teacher.
Right.
Right. So that is also what we have to get into. A 3-back system, especially the way that they're playing it, it should be at least well organized.
Mm-hmm.
At the very least, it should be well organized and be a good defensive block. We're leaking too many goals right now, which shows we're not well organized. So maybe we've got to simplify what we're working on right now. Maybe don't look at the whole big picture right now. Maybe we just focus on how the back 3 and the 5 in the midfield are supposed to transition together.
Right.
How they should drop into the defensive block together. We have to step out.
Mm-hmm.
We have to create space for our defenders so that they can mark their men and we can press the other team higher. Too many times we're sitting back with the 5-back system. Right? It shouldn't be like that.
Right.
So we also have fundamental flaws in our formation right now that have to be addressed before we start pointing the finger at forwards.
Right.
And saying that they're off field, blah, blah, blah. BS. Give me a break. Come on. Let's fix some of these other problems. We've got structural issues. Tottenham beat us by just hitting straight balls in behind. That shouldn't be happening. Right?
No.
Where's the pressure on the ball? That starts in the midfield. Where was our midfield block starting? Where was that defensive press starting? Why are we still chasing after the goalkeeper? Right? Like, let's really get into some of these issues that are going on the squad.
Mm-hmm.
That disconnects our press line when we press the goalkeeper. Come on. These are simple footballing ideas.
Yeah.
So for me as a former footballer, I'm not going to accept that, oh, this is going to take a ton of time. We need to suffer. No, we don't.
No.
It's a 3-back system. We're not reinventing rocket science of football. Right. So it's not that difficult of a concept. You start so it's not rocket science.
Right.
The guys can figure it out. Let's get some fundamentals down steady and prove we can defend some set pieces. We can stop leaking goals and that we can actually possess the ball without trying to hit a long ball every 5 minutes.
Right.
And once we start getting some of those fundamentals down, maybe we'll see a shift in the results. But right now, we're just trying to do, like he said it himself. Some of the players look confused, like they're not sure what to do. Maybe that's because they've been given too much information right now. Maybe it needs to be simplified.
Overload. Can we blame that on the players?
Some of it, yes, some of it, no. And that's my point. The players have a responsibility to be studying their positioning within the new system, however it looks, both attacking and defensive wise, but also in transitional moments. You shouldn't need your manager to scream at you for you to know you got to sprint back in a defensive transitional moment. But on the flip side of that, if your positioning is poor when we're in possession because you don't know where you're supposed to be, that does reflect on the manager. And we can't be coaching the players throughout the entire 90 minutes of the game.
Some of it has to come before the game.
Exactly. So what does that mean? You got to lean on some of your experience, right? That's probably why guys like Casemiro were getting so many minutes under Ten Hag, because that experience helps the players around them. You see, so there's just a lot of like little points that we've got to, a lot of things that we got to figure out. And yeah, it's early, so no alarm bells, but yeah, that's just kind of like the frustration I feel like feeling. Like we've got big issues to sort out, big issues to figure out. And I don't think those issues start or end with Marcus Rashford.
No,
and we need every attacking player we could get. And we need to hopefully find a result in these next 3 games.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So those are our thoughts on the last few games with Manchester United. 2 defeats, 1 home, 1 away. We've got 3 very, very tough games coming up against Newcastle, Arsenal, and Liverpool.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's just hope for the best. Let's just keep trying to be as positive as we can, and let's hope for the return of Marcus Rashford.
Wait to see what happens, but hopefully we can go up from here. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
See what the universe has got in store.
100%. So that's all she wrote. So if you're listening, thanks so much for following along, and we'll see you next time.
Yes, see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.